Coming up on Valley View News, Southern California drivers are feeling the effects of rising gas prices.
People here drive really fast, so, drive less fast.
Plus, why experts say the golden edge of thrifting could soon be coming to an end. And
Asian art, culture, history.
We take you to a martial arts museum in the Valley, teaching the young and old about the history of self-defense.
Hello and welcome to Valley View News. I'm Isabella Warren.
And I'm Nicole San Juan.
Rescue efforts are continuing in San Bernardino County, where mountain residents are still trapped after a storm dumped several feet of snow. Crews with the California National Guard are in areas like Big Bear, Crestline, and Lake Arrowhead to rescue people stuck inside their homes.
It's frustrating for us. I'm sure for the people that can't get their medicine, I'm sure it's scary for them. People that can't get food.
CAL FIRE is distributing the vital resources like food and water. A Caltrans spokesperson says several roads are still buried under snow, and it could take days to clear all of them. The weight of the snow has caused the roofs of some buildings to collapse. Governor Gavin Newsom declared a state of emergency for areas including San Bernardino County last week. It will help the county tap into extra resources quickly to help stranded residents.
Unusually heavy rains have led to leaky ceilings. Some SoCal homeowners are even covering their roofs with tarps. If you're experiencing leaks, experts have some advice. They say it's best to keep a tarp on hand, paired with strong slips for security. Roofing experts should also be called to help repair leaks. It's best not to wait to fix roofs because water damage only gets worse. They say water can lead to mold.
The recent storms collapsed a roof at a local nonprofit clinic, causing $500,000 in damage. Valley View News' Andrea Peña-Reyes has more about how it affects the community.
The recent winter storms caused destruction to Universal Community Health Center in South LA. The center's CEO says the collapsed roof broke a sprinkler pipe, sending more water gushing into the clinic.
An entire clinic filled with 6 to 8 inches of water, and so everything that was on the floor that was electronic got damaged immediately.
The center using more than 20 industrial fans to try to dry the area to continue assisting their patients.
The conference room and the new dental clinic have sustained the worst damage. The water and roof destroyed new equipment and office spaces, adding up to about $500,000 worth in damages, and much of it is not covered by insurance.
What we need to replace are exam beds that got damaged, medical equipment that we use to diagnose patients. We need to replace our IT equipment, which includes the server, the computers.
Universal Community Health O'Neill Clinic opened in November 2020. Most patients are from low-income, undocumented, and uninsurance communities. Dr. Chavez says they're trying to keep it open.
We're still seeing patients as much as we can, but this clinic was actually our biggest clinic, the clinic where we see the most patients, where we have the most providers.
The nonprofit clinic has set up a GoFundMe to raise funds to rebuild. In Los Angeles, for Valley View News, I'm Andrea Peña-Reyes.
Thank you, Andrea. The recent storms are easing the state's drought. The U.S. Drought Monitor says nearly half of California is no longer experiencing drought conditions. That includes the majority of the coast and some inland areas. Much of the Southland is now classified as moderate or abnormally dry. Much of the state was in extreme drought at the end of last year, but some parts are still currently in the severe drought category. Weather experts say increased water supply is leading to promising conditions.
In the wake of the deadly earthquakes in Syria and Turkey, LA County officials have passed a motion requiring some buildings to be retrofitted. In order to survive a powerful earthquake, some high-rise structures owned by the county must be reinforced with steel bars. County supervisors say many of LA's buildings built before the 1980s are non-ductile concrete structures and would get destroyed in a major earthquake. An engineering and construction company tells Valley View News that the cost of a non-ductile retrofit can range between roughly $400,000 and up to millions for larger buildings. The country's deadline for building retrofit is 2033.
LA County is making 100 beds available to unhoused college students. 2 housing projects specifically for students opened in Boyle Heights over the weekend. The houses are different from previous transitional housing. They feature artwork, candles, and furniture. They'll also provide 3 meals a day, health classes, and push residents to finish college. Sam Prater with LA Room and Board said the goal is to make students feel safe and comfortable. The project is funded by California's Project Home Key Funds and the American Rescue Plan Act.
Some California lawmakers want to give aid to undocumented and disabled seniors. The recently introduced Assembly Bill 1536 would expand the state's cash assistance to those groups. It would only be available to disabled seniors with eligible immigration status. The Center for Migration Studies says there's about 17,000 undocumented seniors in the state. Assemblyman Juan Carrillo says the bill would help those facing extreme poverty. If approved, individuals would get anywhere from $1,300 to $3,000 a month. It would also eliminate the requirements to apply for Social Security assistance.
State data has revealed 2/3 of eligible seniors don't participate in CalFresh. That adds up to roughly 1.5 million people who go hungry. Researchers and state officials say misinformation, lengthy processing, and the stigma against accepting assistance are at play. But the biggest hurdle is many think they don't qualify. California has some of the lowest numbers of seniors receiving food stamps. State and federal agencies work 3 years to build up enrollment. The state's Association of Food Banks has CalFresh resources available on their website.
Almost 5 million Californians are bracing for benefit cuts, which could lead to food insecurity. One pandemic relief program is set to end soon. Pandemic EBT, or PEBT, ends in May. It funded children's loss of meals from school closures. Households will return to pre-pandemic levels of funding, which is about $28 a month. EBT distributions are determined by income, employment, and family size.
Pacific Gas and Electric announced the early release of their biannual credit, decreasing natural gas bills for this month. It's a response to the recent hike in prices. The company says customers can expect a projected 75% decrease in bills. For example, bills could drop to $37 after a $52 climate credit. The credit comes from the state's emission allowance program.
From gas prices at home to gas prices on the road, residents all over Southern California are feeling the strain on their wallets with yet another price hike at the pump. Valley View News' Aaliyah Fitzgerald has more on how to save yourself from this price surge.
Gas prices have steadily been increasing over the past few months, and it doesn't seem like it's going to stop anytime soon. One woman named Amber, who did not want to appear on camera, has to now take the bus instead of her normal everyday route with her vehicle.
I think that the gas prices are outrageous and they need to go back down. No one can afford it, no one.
Many people are already struggling to make ends meet, and the increase in gas prices is making it even harder for them to afford basic necessities like groceries and rent.
Gas prices is high. I have a Hyundai Genesis, and I put 91 gas in my thing, so it's right now it's a $5.93, so I'm just waiting for it to go down and stuff.
There is some hope for consumers. There are several things consumers can do in order to save money at the pump.
People have heavy foot, just maybe let off a little gas a little bit, just try to, not drive as aggressive as people, because people here drive really fast, so, drive less fast and, you might save gas mileage.
Avoiding excessive acceleration helps save gas. Along with keeping your car maintained properly helps. Getting your oil changed and making sure your tire pressure is adequate can improve your gas mileage and reduce the need for expensive repairs. Try using gas rewards programs. Many gas stations offer rewards programs that give you discounts on gas purchases. Now, the average American spends around $70 twice a week to fill up their tank, and with some of these tips and tricks, they could save around $100 a month in gas prices alone. From Santa Clarita, this is Aaliyah Fitzgerald for Valley View News.
Aaliyah, thank you. An update to the 2021 massive oil spill off the coast of Southern California. Shipping companies have settled a lawsuit accusing them of damaging pipelines. MV Danet and MV Beijing agreed to $97 million in payments to the pipeline company Amplify Energy. Amplify accused the shipping companies of dragging anchors off the state, striking the pipeline in January 2021, which allegedly led to the spill of 25,000 gallons of crude oil into the Pacific Ocean. The spill spread ashore and onto beaches. Fishermen, tourism companies, and property owners sued Amplify and shipping companies for compensation. Amplify reached a plea deal with federal agencies for negligently discharging crude.
The LA City Council wants to create a new office to oversee land use. The council voted unanimously to have the Ethics Commission report on creating an investigator's office to monitor construction. Council members say it would help keep city staff from taking bribes from business people who want to build on city land. The move comes after former council member Jose Cuellar admitted to accepting payments from businessmen who wanted city approval for their projects. Other city staff have also been charged with involvement in the pay-to-play scheme.
The aftermath of these winter storms continues to affect not only the South, but here in Los Angeles. Valley View News' Sonia Hugh tells us how an already affected neighborhood got hit again.
An underground vault exploded here in this residential area in North Hollywood. You can see behind me a huge mess and debris, a mix of cement, concrete, asphalt, and metal. That bush over there is completely charred. Catherine McLean, who lives right next door, said when the explosion occurred, she thought it was an earthquake.
It took me a second to realize that whatever had happened had made like all the dogs in the neighborhood start barking and like a bunch of car alarms had gone off. So once I started registering those other noises, I realized it was something bigger.
The explosion caused power outages in various neighborhoods across North Hollywood. Biff Bratch, who lives in Valley Village, says he just got his power back on after the historic storm took it out a few days ago.
We had a major tree fall on our block and took down 3 power poles and transformers. So we've been out of power for many days. They finally fixed it. It's been on for a few days. Now, boom, it's out again.
LADWP have received numerous calls of blown transformers across North Hollywood. A LADWP worker told me crews are uncertain how long it would take them to get the power back on. Many of them were still trying to catch up with restoring power to communities affected by the storm last week. A resident told us that this 5-inch thick of concrete flew 6 feet up in the air. Thankfully, no injuries have been reported. Reporting from North Hollywood, I'm Sonia Hugh.
Thank you, Sonia. An LA County prosecutor has been suspended for misgendering a defendant in a highly publicized case. Deputy District Attorney Zena was suspended last week for repeatedly misgendering a trans woman convicted of sexually assaulting a child. Zena was the lead attorney on the case that ended with 26-year-old Hannah Tubbs getting 2 years in a youth treatment facility. Zena referred to Tubbs by her legal male name and male pronouns in meetings, court hearings, and on Twitter. Zena said he believes Tubbs is not truly transgender.
Hear this. A man who spent more than 38 years behind bars for a murder he didn't commit was declared innocent. An LA Superior Court judge vacated Maurice Hastings' conviction last week after DNA testing proved Hastings didn't commit the 1983 crime. The move was requested by both the LA County District Attorney's Office and the LA Innocence Project. 69-year-old Hastings, who always said he was innocent, was serving a life sentence. He was released from custody last October with the help of the LA Innocence Project. Can you believe that, Isabella?
Honestly, the LA Innocence Project is such a good project. I'm really glad he was able to be found innocent.
Yeah.
More to come on Valley View News. Greece's worst ever train crash has killed dozens, and storms are rocking the south of U.S.
Today, we face an unprecedented crisis. Tens of millions of refugees have been forced from their homes. But you can make a difference. Turn disruption and despair to hope and opportunity. Even small amounts make a big difference. Provide shelter, support, or jobs in your community. The more we understand, the greater sense of belonging we create. Act now. Visit supportcrisisrelief.org.
The death of George Floyd, who died in police custody Monday night.
Turning my pain into purpose is pretty much what I have done to start this foundation. It's going to the community, the world, to help us make a change, because it just can't be us.
Welcome back. Bangladesh citizens face homelessness as fires rage through their home. Reyna Torres is in our digital media center. Reyna.
Yes, but we start with Greece's worst ever train crash. A head-on collision between two trains has killed at least 38 people. The passenger train carried more than 350 people when it collided with a freight train in Tempe. Most of the passengers were young. The passenger train switched onto a cargo track before colliding with the other. Greece had the highest railway death rate from 2018 to 2022. The country's transport minister resigned out of respect to the memory of the victims. A wave of respect poison attacks on schoolgirls in Iran has sparked protests. Parents demonstrated outside the capital of Tehran. It believed the girls were targeted by groups opposed to women's right to education. One poisoning victim experienced nausea, shortness of breath, and numbness in her left leg and right hand. All are expected to survive. Over 30 schools have been affected so far. More than 12,000 people have been left homeless after a massive fire ripped through a refugee camp in Bangladesh. No one died, but 2,000 huts were destroyed before the fire was controlled. 90 facilities, including hospitals, were also burned. International and local humanitarian organizations are providing food and shelter to those affected. The cause of the fire is still under investigation. Nearly 200 countries have signed a historic treaty aimed to protect marine life. The seas have been lawless for a long time. The treaty would provide legal tools to manage the protected seas and biodiversity. It also allows for the evaluation of potential damages from commercial activities. Resources from deep-sea mining will be shared. Only 1.2% of international waters are protected currently. A federal official says that with the treaty, at least 30% of the ocean will be protected by 2030. The U.S. and South Korean military announced their biggest joint exercises. The military said they will conduct Freedom Shield, a computer-stimulated training to strengthen defense and response capabilities. It comes after the U.S. flew a B-1B aircraft near the Korean peninsula in February to show the country's military capabilities. North Korea responded by testing 2 short-range missiles the next day. The North's foreign ministry warned that both countries would face strong counteractions if they carry out the planned drills. I'm Reyna Torres, back to you.
Thanks, Reyna. Alex Murdaugh has been sentenced to life in prison for the murder of his wife and son. The 54-year-old lawyer shot Margaret and Paul Murdaugh multiple times in June of 2021. Prosecutors did not have the weapons or direct evidence during the trial, but nearly 800 pieces of circumstantial evidence sealed the verdict. Jurors heard various different accounts from betrayed friends and clients, and even Murdaugh's failed attempt to stage his own death. He maintained his innocence throughout the trial. He was also awaiting trial on almost 100 other charges.
Deadly storms rocked the southern U.S. this weekend, leaving 10 dead and hundreds of thousands without electricity. Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, and Arkansas were hit the hardest. Many of the deaths were due to falling trees and tree limbs. More than 14 million people were under high wind warnings at the beginning of the storm. Across the region, emergency officials were kept busy with downed power lines and people trapped in elevators. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear signed a state of emergency to help those affected.
A recent investigation has revealed that the European Union dumps 37 million items of clothing in Kenya a year. Investigators call for the action to be illegal and says it becomes an escape from systemic overproduction.
The growing accessibility and affordability of cheap-made clothing is showing no signs of stopping. Valley View News' Emelie Cuellar took it to thrift shop racks to bring awareness.
Now see the effects of fast fashion, mixing authentic items with fast ones. With the high volume of fast garments, some have taken notice.
Yeah, over time I have seen that there's a lot more fast fashion brands at thrift stores in comparison to probably 5 years ago. And it's a sad thing, really, because somebody that can't afford to go buy new pieces and are at the thrift store, but now you're buying this piece for such cheap costs, and it's going to last you 2 months.
The pandemic blasted the hashtag #SheInHaul TikTok trend with 8 billion views. Business of Apps says the brand generated $30 billion last year alone. Though online, the effects are real.
Younger people pick up on these trends on TikTok, on Instagram, social media, and then they resort to these fashion brands that are able to sell them that micro trend, and then they're just throwing them away in a couple months.
Some say there's a solution to the fast fashion crisis. The solution? Thrifting.
When we do sell them, most times we cut the tag. That's mostly because we don't want to carry their brands proudly and promote their existence. Instead, we'd just rather have the customer benefit off of the product itself.
The True Cost reports 97% of clothing is made overseas. Shopping local, investing in pieces, and of course, thrifting can ease the strain.
Just think about every single item and where it came from, how it was made. And that'll change your whole perspective on the item. You know, items have a life.
Shein hasn't responded for comment, though their website states they're committed to protecting the environment. Reporting from Burbank for Valley View News, I'm Emelie Cuellar.
An important story, thanks Emelie. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has been pushing multiple different state bills over the past few weeks. One of them would require personal bloggers to register with the state if they write about political officials. Information dissemination would also require bloggers to disclose who's paying them for their posts. Failing to register would cause a $25 a day fine. A First Amendment lawyer in New York says the law would not survive a court challenge.
Keanu Reeves eliminates villains in his movies John Wick and The Matrix, but now he has a new enemy, fungus. Well, not exactly. Scientists have named a new fungus-killing compound Keanu. Researcher Sebastian Goetz says the lipopeptides kill so efficiently, just like how Reeves is extremely deadly in his roles. The antimicrobial compounds are typically found in soil and water and are biodegradable. Scientists say that it could be an environmentally friendly alternative to pesticides. How awesome is that? I mean, hopefully I become famous and I get something cool like that named after me.
Right, that's a very cool name.
Yeah.
When we come back, Shakira is in the Grammy Museum. Also, singer Billie Eilish is off the social media train. Stay with us.
You're not gonna get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff.
Mama!
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
With hits like Hips Don't Lie, fans can find something new to admire about Shakira in her new exhibit at the Grammy Museum in Los Angeles. The museum displays the songwriting notebook she used during the sessions for her 2017 album El Dorado, along with rhyming dictionary. Shakira's most recognized costumes and guitars are also showcased. Closing the walk through is a small theater with surround sound that projects a montage of the Colombians' best live performances. It opened in the museum's Latin Music Gallery and runs through 2024.
In a new Netflix special, comedian and actor Chris Rock finally addressed the infamous Will Smith Oscars slap. In Chris Rock's selective outrage, Rock made history with the platform's first live global streaming event. During his opening set from Baltimore, Rock said, "People always say words hurt. Anybody who says words hurt has never been punched in the face." Rock saved his jokes about the Academy Awards incident for the last 10 minutes of the show. He's been questioned on why he didn't respond after that Oscars night. Rock said, "It's because you don't fight in front of white people." I mean, how funny is that? He's able to make a comedy show about such a traumatic experience.
I know, as he should.
Yeah, as he should.
Singer Billie Eilish announced that she deleted all her social media accounts from her phone to avoid the internet. The singer was on a new episode of the Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend podcast. She talked about her experience with the internet growing up and how it can make you gullible when reading or watching something online. Eilish recalls as a child always doing things outside. She said as an adult she sees videos and articles of herself and doesn't like what she sees. I cannot go without my phone. Can you, Isabella?
Absolutely not. I have too much fun on the internet.
Right?
Well, if you're looking for something to get you out of the house, Burbank has one of the only museums dedicated to martial arts history. Valley View News' Maximus Osborne takes us to the museum.
This is Iceman's shorts from...
When people think of martial arts, they tend to think of action and violence. And while those are present, martial arts is also culturally and philosophically rooted. The education and preservation of martial arts is one of the main goals of the Martial Arts History Museum in Burbank. Michael Matsuda is the president of the museum.
The mission, I would say, of this museum is to demonstrate Asian art, culture, history, music, and how it connects with the martial arts.
The museum has multiple displays that inform visitors about prominent details. It also aims to create more awareness about the Asian community. Alexandra Tejada is an Asian American visitor who got to experience the museum for the first time.
I really loved hearing how they put on events, especially for like the Stop Asian Hate, and then little seminars on like women's empowerment. There's so much more history and so much more involved in it.
For someone looking for better employment, like free photography.
The museum teaches more than how people fought and what weapons were used. It talks about who those people were, shedding light on lesser-known histories. Jared Adriano was another visitor.
In general, Philippines tends to be underrepresented for a lot of areas, and so seeing it, represented through martial arts, I found it to be wonderfully fantastic.
The Martial Arts History Museum is open Thursday to Sunday, 11 to 6. Reporting from Burbank, I'm Maximus Osborne.
Thank you, Maximus. In sports, Stephen Curry was not his usual self in the first three quarters against the Los Angeles Lakers this weekend. Thankfully for Laker fans, in the fourth quarter, the All-Star guard was able to shake off his rust and score 19 of his 27 points in the final minutes of the game. The Golden State Warriors were not able to bring it back, though, and lost 113 to 105. Curry was on a time restriction after a left leg injury, making him miss 11 games. He said it felt great getting thrown back into the game.
Kevin Durant pulled off another stellar performance, helping the Phoenix Suns defeat the Dallas Mavericks. He scored 37 points for a 130 to 126 victory. It was the first meeting between Durant and Dallas's Kyrie Irving since they were both traded by the Brooklyn Nets last month. Luka Doncic carried 34 points for the Mavericks, but fouled Durant with 3.5 seconds remaining in the quarter. In a tie-breaking play, Durant scored a free throw with 11 seconds to go.
That's all for us at Valley View News. I'm Nicole San Juan.
And I'm Isabella Warren. For stories any time of day, go to our website, csunvalleyview.com. Thanks for watching. No, right.